In this lecture, we're going to examine the two measures of central tendency. The first is the median, and the second is the mean. And the median, also referred to as the middle score, refers to a measure on the outcome variable that represents the 50th percentile, or rather, the score at which 50% of the other scores in that sample sit at or below that particular value. That value is the median. And there are some clear advantages of using the median to quantify and characterize a group of scores, in that only one median value can be obtained. This is in contrast to the mode, the most commonly occurring score, and there is always the possibility of having a bimodal distribution or multiple scores that occur very often. The median will always be located around where most of the scores are distributed and is particularly not affected by extreme outliers. And as such, the median is often used for nominal or ordinal scales, as well as skewed distributions. And so on this lower left-hand portion of the slide, we see a depiction of the normal distribution, a normal distribution of scores, and the middle line, this line of symmetry, represents that score on the outcome variable that occurs most frequently, which is the mode, represents the median as well as that score, which divides the entire distribution into upper and lower 50%. The line here also represents the average or the mean. In a positively skewed distribution on the right-hand side, here we see on the very long pronounced tail going into the positive direction, a small number of very high scores. Recall the outcome variable or the dependent variable is along the x-axis. And as we define the mode as the most commonly occurring score, it will also be represented as the highest point on the distribution of the data. The average score or the mean score will always be on the side of the mode which is towards the very pronounced tail, and the median will sit between the mode and the mean. And so we call this distribution here positively skewed because this very small number of high scores will skew the average or the mean in the positive direction. So a small number of scores will have a significant effect on the average, but will not affect the median value. And the median value can be calculated simply as a process for looking for the middle score. And when we have a small sample size or a small n that involves discrete data, and these are non-continuous data, particularly there are two ways to calculate the median. If in the event that there are an odd number of values or an odd number of scores, the scores must first be arranged in a rank order, greatest to smallest or smallest to greatest, and the median score is just simply the middle value. And the middle value is a location that is not going to be dependent on the values of the numbers on either side, on the lower side or the greater side. If there are an even number of scores, the process to find the median is the same in that the scores are arranged in a rank order, and the median value is taken as the halfway point between the two middle scores. And so what we see here we see a number of scores and an even number of scores, and the median will sit between the two most middle scores, 9 and 11. And so the median is just simply the average of the two most middle scores. In this case, the median is a value of 10. And the median does provide an indication of the magnitude, but importantly, the location of a set of data. And as you can see here, even though the median has a value of 10, it's not influenced by the much smaller numbers, the big difference between 10 and 4 versus 10 and 14. In order to calculate one of the most common uses of central tendency measures, which is the average or the mean, it is by definition located at the mathematical center of a distribution and not necessarily a location of the numbers. And so the term mean also refers to the average value of a set of scores. And this considers all the scores in a distribution. And so if we take a look at this equation here, here we see the standard symbol for the sample mean, not population mean, of X bar. X bar refers to the mean of all participants in the sample and is taken as the summation. So uppercase Greek letter sigma is the symbol for summation. All the scores where X is the raw score of one research participant are all added up and divided by the total number of samples in that group. And this ends this first lecture on measures of central tendency.